All right, this is a fossil vocabulary by Mrs. Baxter. So on your blank sheet of paper in your journal, you're going to write fossil vocabulary. Our first word is environment. The surroundings, environment is the surroundings of an organism. Okay, when we talk about environment, we talk about the things around us. So for instance, if you're talking about your home environment, you might see your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, or whoever's in your environment. Okay, if you have cats, if you have dogs, if you have birds, if you have chickens, if you have your own bedroom, if you're in your bedroom, what does your environment look like? What does your bed look like? Do your walls look like? Do you have pictures hanging up? Okay. Now we're going to talk about school environment. So at a school environment, you might see a classroom, you see desk, you see students in a building, you see back to school sign usually on, when we're back to school. You see teachers, principals, counselors, okay? All kinds of stuff that make you recognize right away, oh, this is a school environment. Likewise, when you're talking about sea life environment, if you were able to ever go snorkeling or down in the into a scuba diving when you get older, you'll see all kinds of sea life environment. You'll see coral reef, you'll see very exotic fish and animals and plankton, and maybe even find a little SpongeBob down there. Next, we're going to talk about evidence. Evidence is information or proof which helps to form a conclusion. So if you come to me and you say, Miss Baxter, Billy Bob over there stole my pencil and my eraser, I might say to you, oh yeah, well, where's your evidence? What's your proof? Because you're already forming a conclusion that Billy Bob stole it. But I need to know how you know that. So I need information or proof. And we know that in criminal settings, we recognize a fingerprint. They take fingerprints. Okay, that can prove if someone was there or not. And then this is evidence of the Mayans. Okay, back in the Mayan days, they used to leave these little carvings in the wet clay, and that's how you would know that they were present. Fossil. A fossil means the traces or remains of organisms that are preserved actually in rock. Okay, so when an organism dies, its remains can be trapped inside of like wet soil, and then when that wet soil dries and hardens, it dries into the shape of the animal. Okay, and that's where you've got your fossils that eventually over time turn into really hard rock. And here's just a little funny, haha, a little skeleton sleeping in front of his little tombstone. And this is an actual fossilization of an ancient animal. Probably a dinosaur. I'm not really sure what kind it is. And then the fossilization is just the process by which remains of organisms are preserved as fossils. Okay, this is just the process of how a fossil becomes, well, a fossil. Okay. And fossils just aren't just animals. They can be leaves. Have you ever fossilized a leaf, maybe as an arts and craft project? Okay, so fossils can be lots of things. Have you ever, has your parents ever did a cement imprint of your hands? Have you ever seen anyone do imprints of their hands, like in cement? Or I want to say at McKeska's Barbecue, I know there's their names that are in the cement, and I think they put their handprints in there as well. And that's not true fossilization, but it's a replica of it. And next, we're going to talk about model. Model is a copy or a replica of an object. You know what I mean? And I do my little turn on the catwalk. Yeah, on the catwalk. On the catwalk. Yeah, I shake my little tush on the catwalk. Is that a model? Like that model where he's walking the catwalk? No! This model is all about a copy or replica of an object. You're not sure what a model is? Just look at our model of the sedimentary rock in the classroom. That's your model. All right, our last word for the day is paleontologist. This is a scientist who studies ancient life using fossils. Okay, this is a scientist who only in the world of paleontology do paleontologists are they really cool. Okay, yes, you can make a lot of money because you get to work for museums and organizations where you go out and you find fossil remains and you piece them together with other fossil remains. Okay, and I've got 2 clips for you here of Friends episode. Friends is a TV show that was on in the 90s, and this guy right here, who is Ross Geller, he is a paleontologist in the show. And all of his friends make fun of him because he's the only one in the group that's sciencey and kind of geeky and dorky, but he loves his paleontology and he is so proud of it, every minute of it. And so in this first clip, this is where he's teaching a class on the history of the velociraptors. And I won't spoil it for you, but it gets kind of funny towards the end.
And it was Ernst Mulbrad who first hypothesized that the velociraptor, when threatened, would expand its collar and emit a high-pitched noise to frighten off its predator. Yes, Mr. Lewis?
What kind of noise?
Just a high-pitched, intimidating noise.
But like how?
Well, we don't know for sure. But in my head, it sounded something like this. Of course, this is just conjecture. Okay, that's all for today. Mr. Morse, can I see you for a moment?
Okay, that's that clip. And in the second clip, Ross, I told you, is a paleontologist, so he studies fossils. And his girlfriend Rachel, well, I'm not really sure if they're girlfriend in this episode because they were on again and off again. But she feels the need to pick on him about his profession. And he retaliates on her because she works for Ralph Lauren, the clothing designer. She works for him. So this is also another great funny clip.
So I nodded off a little.
Nodded off? Ross, you were snoring. My father's boat didn't make that much noise when it hit rocks.
Come on, 45 minutes. 45 minutes. The man talked about strappy back dresses.
Okay, how about 4 hours in a freezing museum auditorium listening to Professor Pitstains and his, hey, everybody, remember that thing that's been dead for a gazillion years? Well, here's a little bone we didn't know it had.
First of all, it's Professor Pittain. And second of all, that little bone proved that particular dinosaur had wings but didn't fly.
Okay, see now, what I just heard? Blah, 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 blah.
You know what? 100 million people went to see a movie about what I do. I wonder how many people would go see a movie called Jurassic Parka. No, a bunch of out-of-control jackets take over an island.
Okay, so those are just some funny clips, but as you can see, science is all around us. It's even in our TV shows that we like to watch. And I know I'm a big fan of Big Bang Theory, and you know that. But Friends is also a great show that I've grew up watching and I love to watch over and over again. It never gets old. But even still, there's so much science all around us, guys. I never want you to stop learning science. If you ever feel like you're starting to get bored with science or not understand it, please turn to YouTube and find something to make you laugh about it and make you just kind of rejuvenate you, okay? All right, guys, that's all for today's lesson. See you next time.